tell me, are these studies available and this research available to us?
Yeah, no, all of the studies are in the public domain, but I think the question is, are they packaged and made accessible to the members in a way in which they can actually use them in their daily lives? And I think that is still a shortcoming. It's not surprising that, you know, often a company the size of Discovery is focused on expanding the business, strengthening the underlying financial dynamics, and gives less attention to the very critical need to market this and get it into hands of people. I think the other thing is that, you know, I've seen after working with them, there obviously are gaps, and some of them are starting to be filled. One is mental health. I think we've all seen during the pandemic the profound impact of depression, anxiety, and the mixture between that and isolation. And the solutions there are not that easy. Getting people linked to a digital therapist is very nice, but that's not going to probably be sustainable. The medications, one of the things I did 20 years ago was the very first report by WHO on mental health. And, you know, it showed that there was obviously a lot of problems. But over the last 20 years, the world has been flooded with medications, anti-anxiety and depression and so on. And yet the prevalence of most mental health conditions has not moved, suggesting that we're missing something. And that's something I keep struggling to think, well, what are we missing? And one of the things that does seem strange to talk about coming from somebody with a medical and a technology background is a lot of these spiritual dimensions of health, where we know, and by spiritual, I'm not just talking about organized religion, which itself does play a very powerful role. We know that people who go to either their church, their mosque, their synagogue on a regular basis have dramatically lower levels of depression and anxiety over life. We don't know whether it's specifically the prayer, but it probably certainly is the community, the fact that people are engaging and interacting with people. We know that people who engaged in other forms of spirituality, yoga, meditation, mindfulness, also show these enormous benefits. Yet we don't talk about that enough. And particularly now, I'm actually starting work at Yale where they have a small center for spirituality and health, believe it or not, within the medical school, because they know that the more we can involve people in these community-based interactive activities, the more likely they are to have benefits on mental health, go through cancer with requiring less side effects, and have a range of cardiovascular benefits. So I think that the technologically rich approach we've taken needs to be complemented with a human-centric approach as well. And if we can get those two together, I think we'll be able to make a big difference. The empirical evidence that this matters, I think, was interesting. During the end of the pandemic, I worked with the BBC on a worldwide survey of mental health problems, how people were doing. That for the developed countries, the US, Europe, and so on, we were seeing very high levels of depression and anxiety. But for many Asian countries, particularly Vietnam, Thailand, Korea, we weren't. And it does seem that the structure of the society, the family, the caring system, the community support, which is inherently much stronger still in those cultures, is probably a very strong reason for the protective effect against anxiety and depression in the wake of the worst pandemic we ever had.